In between stimulus and response, there's a space, and that space is your power. When you look at the tree, I'm going to give this as an example and an analogy. The tree isn't shaped by its environment. The tree shapes itself in relation to its environment. So instead of thinking that the tree is molded to fit whatever environment it's in, no, the tree doesn't do that. What it does is it roots itself in and then shapes itself in such a way that it can handle the environment that it's in. It can handle the windstorms, it can handle the earthquakes, it can handle the fires, it can handle all of those things and survive them, and not only survive them, but thrive in them and fulfill its purpose. So going back to this quote by Viktor Frankl, in between stimulus and a response is a space, and that space is where we want to root ourselves. Our tendency is this, is that when we get triggered by something in our environment, we tend to go into our protectors. It reminds us of some old wound. Trauma means to turn the wound, so that wound gets turned. We experience an awakening to that, and usually what we do is we react to it and we protect ourselves. So if you think about the 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day that you have, and only 5% of those are original, 95% are repeated thoughts, and 70% of those thoughts are negative, that your body and brain are wired to scan for danger. And so many of us have been taught to react and protect. So our shields come up, our guard comes up, we get into fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and we do that automatically or almost automatically. But in between stimulus and response is a space, and it's our space to mold ourselves into the person that can handle any environment. And that's where we become rooted. So in the space between stimulus and response is your chance to really stop, reflect, and choose which direction you want your tree to grow. And so if you're dependent on the outside environment to shape that, you'll always be protecting and reacting. And the goal is to not do that. The words creation and reaction have the same letters, but they're arranged differently. And they're arranged differently by your consciousness. So when you stand rooted between the space of stimulus and response, and you really stop and really think about that, that's your power right there. I wrote in my book, The Art of Accomplishment, the 0 point. Same idea that in between each neuron, there's a gap between neurons. So when neurons fire, they fire all in one direction. They reach the end of that neuron, and then they jump chemicals over to the next neuron, and then that neuron fires. In that gap between the one neuron and the other, we have the ability to stop that flow. So even though we've done a pattern over and over for years, in between each neuron is a gap. And usually it's wrapped with astrocytes and other things. We won't get too technical here, but we have the ability to interrupt the gap. And we can either fire and keep going down the old pathways that we've always done, or we can stop at any point, any 0 point, any space between stimulus and response, and rewrite the pathway and take it in a new direction. And it takes repetition, it takes consciousness until it doesn't. Because the more we practice something, the more it becomes automated and habituated. It takes anywhere from 18 to 258 days to create a new habit. So you have to practice something over and over for it to become a reality. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about what's happening in your life that is affecting your peace, where you find yourself reacting and protecting, and slow down with it. And instead of reacting and protecting, which you're used to doing, I want you to pause and really look at it of how would your wise self respond to this if you were to create this in a new direction. And that's the commitment that we've got to make inside of ourselves. And it applies to so many areas. It applies to our health. It applies to relationships. It applies to our finances. That if we have old programming that continually gets triggered and we react to our lives, then it's up to us to stop and really look at, where do I want to take it from here? I think of Edith Eger, who says that expression is the opposite of depression. She was a survivor of the concentration camps. Viktor Frankl was the same thing. He survived the concentration camps. They both have these ideas that you may not be able to control your outside environment or what happens out here, but you have 100% of the control of what happens in here. So my invitation to you today is to recognize and wake up to when you're reacting and protecting. thinking that that's doing what it needs to do for you, to pause with it, to not judge it, and to hold space for it to choose so you can choose a new direction. So I've got a couple of tools that I've created for AI. One is called the mirror. So sometimes we can't see that. So my mirror tool helps you to see what's going on. No matter how you speak the story, no matter how much you blame the world, it's going to see right through it, show you an accurate reflection of what's going on in you. The second tool that I've created is called the bridge. The bridge now takes that awareness and helps you to see it. So now you can wake up to the speaking or what's going on in your inner world. And then the bridge takes it into acceptance and acknowledgement, and then into empowerment. So not only do you recognize what is and where it's coming from, you can acknowledge it, forgive it, and then step into a new, more powerful way of being. And so those are two powerful tools that I have available. These are included, just to be clear, you can buy them as standalone applications, or you can come be a part of our 12 Journeys program, and I include those in that program. And so you go to my12journeys.com. You can read about it in our Sum Gigante program, which means I am giant in Latin. And my goal is to help you to return to that giantness one small step at a time. And so that program is helping you rewrite your operating system and your narrative so that you can be the giant you were designed to be. We can overcome all of these small patterns that have kept you small. And so go check it out. Let me know if you want any information on the applications or the My 12 Journeys. Drop a comment. I'll get that over to you. Go make it a giant day, and I'll see you in the next video.